about Strength Based IEP Goals. As Sarah said, my name is Maegan Obregon. Just some things about me real quick so you guys know who in the world I am. I have my bachelor's degrees in elementary and special education, both from NAU. I just finished my master's degree in autism studies / specialties with an emphasis on applied behavior analysis. I am now a kinder through 4th grade cross-categorical behavior specialty teacher. So this school year, I'm working mostly with students with emotional behavior disorders. And I was your guys' Dysart Special Education 2022-23 Teacher of the Year. So thanks for having me back. I'm excited to be here. Just a little bit of a passion page, a little bit about why I'm a teacher, what my goals are in being a teacher, why I'm passionate about special education specifically. The first one for all of my students is building self-advocacy, which is so on par with what we're going to be talking about today. So I'm excited I was chosen for this topic specifically. The next is building self-determination, again, on par. I really enjoy working with students with difficult behaviors. Behavior is my passion. Behavior is my jam. So it can't scare me. And my last goal is to have schools give students tools to help propel them in their educational goals and then throughout life. So all of these things are important for strength-based IEP goals. Now, this is a moment I'm going to X out of my presentation for just a moment. So I want everyone in this room or online, whatever room you're in, to think about one of your biggest strengths with the hat you're currently wearing. So maybe it's the parent, maybe you're a teacher, maybe you're admin, maybe you are the, presenter, maybe you're whatever it may be. I want you guys to think about your hat, and I want you guys to either in the chat or Sarah, I might ask you to help me by having a few people call out. Tell me what's one of your biggest strengths in the room. I'm going to stop the share for just a second so we can all chat about it. And I know it's so uncomfortable thinking about like, ugh, what am I good at? Kenzia said kindness. That's a good one. Kindness is my favorite.
Hey, go.
Anyone in the room, Sarah, have their hand up, or anyone in the room want to share?
So far, no.
I know, it's so weird thinking about what we're good at. It's literally so weird. But if we're able to do this, it'll be good because we can then help our kiddos do it too.
Tracy Gardner said pushing her kids to do their best.
That's a good one. That's a really good one. So I'm assuming the next question is going to be easier for you all, since this one is difficult. So Jessica Moore is great at advocating for her son. That's a really, really good one. Since that question was kind of difficult, I bet you guys are going to like this next question better, and it's going to be easier to answer. And that is, what is one of the things you need more support with the hat you're currently wearing in this room? So I just asked you, what's one of your strengths with the hat that you're wearing? Now I want you to think about what's one thing that you need more support with. And I want to see if maybe those answers are easier to come up with. Wearing less hats. That's perfect, Kenzia.
Dealing with 13-year-old emotions.
Ooh, fair. Understanding resources. Elizabeth, that's a really good one. I'm going to give my example just so you guys don't feel so alone in this world. One of my strengths as an educator is, I would probably say my heart. I work hard because I'm passionate about it. I love my students. I love my kids. And that's one of my strengths. Something I need more support with is I hate paperwork. I hate it. I write the IEPs, and Sarah will tell you they're well written, but I hate every moment of it. So And I don't hate it. It's just tedious. So that's my example. So this is all to say, let's get back on our kiddos, that we can use these strengths of our own to support the area of improvement. And I really want you guys to reflect on the questions I just asked, because we're about to ask our students and our teachers and our support staff to do the same exact process that I just had you try to do to yourself, and it's really difficult. So this question here and how I would answer is, I can use my strength of loving my students to write really strong IEPs, because I know ultimately that if I outline every single thing that they need, they will be better supported, because God forbid they move tomorrow. I would want them to have documentation that is able to best support them. So I use my strength of loving them to then complement that area that I don't love as much, which is paperwork. So I'm going to read you an absolutely ridiculously long definition right now that's going to sound like a bunch of hoopla. And just know I did this on purpose. And we're going to break it apart so it's easier to be digested. But if you were going to look up what is a strength-based IEP goal, this is the definition that you're going to get. A strength-based IEP goal is a specific and measurable objective within an individualized education plan that is designed to harness and develop a student's existing strengths, abilities, and talents. These goals are formulated with positive and affirming approach, focusing on what the student can do and how their strengths can be used to address their unique needs and enhance their educational experience. A strength-based IEP goal aims to empower the students, promote self-confidence, and facilitate their growth and achievement by building upon their inherent capabilities, interests, and passion. These goals are individualized and tailored to the student's strengths, ensuring that their educational plan maximizes their potential while addressing any challenges they may face. I literally don't even know what that means. And I have a master's degree in autism studies, and I'm still like, that's kind of long. So let's break this down and talk about why this is important and what parts of this definition are important. So it is an IEP that's designed to harness and develop the student's existing strengths. We're using this IEP written to harness their current strengths to support them in areas of need. We're going to be focusing on what the students can do and how their strengths can be used to address their unique needs. The point of this all is to empower the students, promote self-confidence, and facilitate their growth. I am going to do questions all at the end. So if you have a question on this definition, write it down and I will come back to it, because I know that this part is important. But that is essentially what a strength-based IEP goal is. So one thing, and I do this even with my students, theory to practice. I want to talk about, like, great, here's a definition, but how do I make sure my kid's getting this? How can I actually write these goals? We're going to talk more about that. If you're taking notes, there are going to be 10 things that I'm going to talk about in the next few slides that must be included prior to getting to the goal. There's 10 parts of this IEP that should be included so a strength-based IEP goal can be written. And ultimately, well-done IEPs have these things anyways. So the first of the 10 things that I'm going to talk about is strong present levels. So this is that initial page when you are reading through and it's like reading strengths, math strengths, writing strengths, etc. All of their strengths should be noted in the present level. And so when we get to goals, then it can even say, as noted by the, present levels, their current strengths are blank, blank, blank. So we should be really looking for strengths in those present levels. If you're not seeing these, it's going to be really hard to understand how to support them with the things that they struggle on. Having strengths in the present levels is super important. So that is the first thing. The second thing that needs to be included is notable accommodations. So the example I used here is my student's really great at typing. So maybe one of the accommodations I do for written expression tasks instead of like written work tasks is having them type their work instead of writing. If it needs to be an accommodation to highlight their strength, that should be included. Sarah, can you guys still hear me? Is everything going okay? I feel alone because I'm just on my presentation.
Everything's great.
All right, just making sure you guys can all still hear me and I'm not talking to no one. The third thing that's super, super important, and it almost feels silly writing this, but it also doesn't, because it's just that important, is a positive perspective. So when teachers, when admin, when parents, when maybe students are coming into this IEP meeting, we want to approach it with the belief that every student has unique strengths and has unique abilities. And we're here to harness those unique abilities and strengths to propel them. So that positive perspective can make the entire difference of whether or not the IEP is strength-based or the latter. The next is strength assessment. So when your student is assessed for special education services by their psych, you guys would have had a MET meeting every 3 years. You guys do a reevaluation, all that jazz, right? Well, in those evaluations, what your psych should list out is they showed a strength in this area. They showed a strength in this area. When you are looking at those assessments, look through and look at the scores and see which areas were they the strongest in. That's also super important because we can use that data to write our goals. All right, we are about halfway through the list, and these next few are going to go kind of quick. So the fifth one is peer involvement. This is not going to necessarily be included in the IEP. However, it can be super important for supporting their growth, and maybe it is written in if it's that important to them. So we're just encouraging opportunities for students to work with peers who have complementary strengths. This is going to give them the opportunity to build self-confidence. This is going to give them the opportunity to build connections. We're going to use our strengths as motivators. So, you know, even if this is just verbal motivation, like, wow, you are an amazing artist. I cannot wait to see the picture that you draw in the top left corner of your math paper. We're using those strengths as motivators, and it can be that simple, really. The seventh is incorporate interests. Sarah will tell you that I had Mario on half of my assignments last year. I had a JPEG saved on my home screen, and I would just copy it over because one of my kiddos loves anything Mario. So even small things like that, incorporate their interest into lessons. It'll make the world a difference. The next is celebrating achievements. This is really straightforward, but when we are doing small things or big things, every step forward should be celebrated. I mean, I think even as adults, we need to slow down and celebrate ourselves for the smallest things because life is hard and we're all doing a good job. And the ninth thing is strength building skills. So this is developing a plan to further enhance the student's skills. And the reason that I included this one specifically is because this part, the strength building skills, is an integral part of building a strong transition plan. We're assuming that we're going to use these strengths that our students have to, propel them in their life and potentially make this an occupational skill. And so if we're continuing to build this strength, it could be something that's used in the transition plan eventually to help them later on in life. So it's never, never, ever too early to start strength building skills. And the last and most important one that I want you guys to all hear me say is collaboration. So no one knows your kids better than you guys know your kids. Like, these are your babies. You guys had them. I think about that every day when I go into school, like, this is someone's baby. This is your baby. And so if you tell us all the great things they can do, we can better support them. They might feel shy about the things they're good at, and they might not want to show us at school. You know, we might not know because they haven't been given the opportunity to show us at school for whatever reason. So if you are able to collaborate with us and tell us all their strengths, we can better integrate that. And then this is same collaboration among different service areas. So our strength, sorry, my dog is so silly. Our speech and OT should be collaborating with our special ed teachers, who are collaborating with our gen ed teachers, who are collaborating with specials, to talk about what strengths we're seeing in different classroom settings so we can better streamline that among all environments. So now for the actual goals. Get to it, woman. My students always laugh because I add these little things just so I can chuckle at myself during these presentations. So we're going to talk about goals now. So I want to give you guys a look into a teacher's brain, into my brain even, for a lot of my IEPs, because it gets so, you know, like second nature writing these tasks. Per Arizona DEA law, we must include a state standard in every IEP goal. And this must be a grade level state standard. So this is a standard-based IEP goal. This is best practice. We will continue to still do this. So when we are writing IEP goals, let's say I have a third grade student. I press on goals. I have a drop-down menu, and it shows me all the third grade standards. I choose a standard that I think works best with what I'm thinking of. I differentiate the standard to your student's level. So let's say the standard is, let's give a harder example because it's sometimes really difficult to do this. Let's say I have a third grade example and they're working on multiplying 2-digit by 1-digit numbers. Well, my current student is still working on letter recognition. I still need to use a third grade standard. However, I am going to differentiate that. So I'm going to pick that standard, but I'm going to say we will be working on letter recognition, or I'm sorry, number recognition with the but I might show him the numbers in a multiplication form just so he's getting some access to grade level material. Then we do that 1,000,007 more times. And so when hearing that, and again, I'm speaking into one teacher's brain and I can't speak for all, it's really hard to know how we can have both, but it's totally possible. We can still stay in compliance and have a standard-based goal and still make it a strength-based goal. We do that by modifying the curriculum or modifying the standards to incorporate the student's strengths and interests. It is, you know, like we have to finagle a little bit more, but it's completely possible. So checking in really quick, before I go into examples, I'm just gonna check in with everyone and stop sharing my screen. Is everyone with me? Is that all making sense? Perfect. I see Sarah shaking her head. All right, cool. I'm gonna keep going. So the next blurb, thanks Robert, thanks Jessica, I see your guys' thumbs up. All right, the next bit of this presentation, let's see where we're at in time, we're doing good, is 3 examples. So I have a student example here, and then I'm going to talk about the goal that I wrote for them underneath. So my student, did I do student? Oh, I called her student 2. Oh no, I called her student 2 in example 1, and I don't know why. It's probably because I have teacher brain, but whatever. So this student has a strength in art and a creativity strength. This student shows exceptional creativity and artistic talent. However, they're really needing support in emotional regulation. So, wow, they're really good at drawing. They cannot self-regulate. That is a hard thing to connect, but it's completely possible. So here's the goal that I wrote for this student. The student will use their artistic skills to enhance their communication and expression. The student will be able to use her drawings to say how she is feeling every 4 out of 5 trials. Baseline is 1 out of 5 trials. Data will be taken bi-weekly and reported quarterly. For this emotional regulation standard goal, there is a goal about effectively expressing your emotions. It doesn't matter that I'm using the artistic skills. I'm still meeting the standard, just the way that I'm teaching it is different. So I am in compliance with both things at this point. As you see in this goal, I still have clear-cut data on what we're working towards, 4 out of 5 trials. I still have a baseline for her, 1 out of 5 trials. I still am saying when data is being taken. We are not including any of those things. All of the important parts of an IEP goal are still included. All right. That's example number 1. I'll give you a second to digest. Okay. Example number 2. This student has a strength in physical fitness and leadership. So they excel in physical fitness and they demonstrate really strong leadership skills. However, they are needing support in writing. So we're writing an writing IEP goal for this student. So the goal that I wrote is the student will use their fitness expertise to promote a healthy lifestyle among peers by writing a fitness plan. Or if we decided, I thought another good idea was keeping a fitness journal. So for this specific student's needs, and again, this will be different depending on what their goal is or what they're needing. But for this student's example, we're going to be tracking 3 sentences written with a capital letter and punctuation. So the student's struggling with capital letters and punctuation. That's what we're working towards. That's the goal. We will write 3 sentences with both capital letters and punctuation every 4 to 5 trials. Baseline is 1 out of 5 trials. Data is tracked bi-weekly and reported quarterly. So again, we took their strength of physical fitness and we're using it to support writing. We're including their interests to support an area of need. Alrighty, example number 3. This is my last student example. This student excels in public speaking and advocating for important causes. However, they're in need or support of basic math skills. So we have lots of students who love to talk and love to talk to all the friends in front of the class and want to do all the things. And so with those kiddos, what I do is something similar to this. The students will use their public speaking skills to teach a small group how to add with regrouping within 100. So by reading this goal, I know that we are working on adding with regrouping within 100. That is the goal, that is the need the student currently is working towards. We will be tracking addition with regrouping within 100. Goal is 7 out of 10 trials. Baseline is 3 out of 10 trials. Data will be taken bi-weekly, reported quarterly. So here's my 3 examples. However, I don't want you, I'm sure you guys are all thinking about your IEPs right now and going, none of mine read that way. Like, does that mean that none of these are strength-based IEP goals? Not necessarily. There is another area of the IEP to look at that many teachers include strength-based practices, even if the goal is not written that way. So I want you guys, if you have your student's IEP in front of you, fantastic. If not, do this when you get home. Check your service page with those minutes. There's going to be a section, SDI, that's specifically designed instruction. This is going to tell you how the teachers are working on the goals. This is going to tell you how your student's day looks day to day within their educational setting, how they're working on this. I feel like this is often a part of the IEP that gets glanced over and we don't realize how important it is. I'm sorry, my dog is using a squeaking toy in this moment. I might have to grab it from her in a second. So if you're curious, like, okay, I know what they're working on with my kid, but how are they working on it? Go look at that service page and check the specifically designed instruction, because maybe we're going back to example number 3. The goal reads, we're tracking just this last bit. We're tracking addition with regrouping within 100. Goal is 7 out of 10, baseline 3 out of 10. And they didn't include this blurb up here, but possibly in that SDI statement, maybe they did include, we will be practicing this skill by having the student present to their peers. So that is a very important tip. 10 out of 10, check your SDI statements, see how your teachers are teaching the goals. It's a super important part of the IEP that's often quickly talked over. So I've talked about this a little bit, but I just want to reiterate one more time. This is so important. Writing IEPs in this way is so important for so many reasons. The number one, it's very simple, transition plans. Your student will not be a student forever. Your student is going to grow up. Your student is going to become a member of society. Your student's going to need a transition plan. We should start working on strengths as soon as possible and begin to support those strengths and, you know, change the strengths if they decide they like something else, whatever it may be, to support a really strong transition plan. So when you get to those meetings, at whatever point to do their transition plan, everyone's not sitting around going like, what are they good at? Because that's tough. And we all just did that at the beginning of this meeting. So it's important that we are making an active, we're actively working towards knowing their strengths and including it in the IEP. And two more important things, self-advocacy. The student knows what they're good at. They can better advocate for themselves. And maybe most importantly, building self-confidence. I don't know about you guys, but when I feel good at something, it makes me feel fantastic. Actually, it's one of the skills I've been taught and teach my students. It's called building mastery. And if you build mastery, it's proven that you have a better outlook on yourself. There's more clinical backing behind it, but I won't bore you all with it. So building mastery and building self-confidence is just so important, and our kiddos deserve to feel successful and great and smart and amazing. So now we're going to talk about some of your student strengths or some of your questions, and we can talk about how we can translate those into goals. So maybe you're thinking like, well, my student's strength is roadblocks. I really don't know how to use roadblocks in a goal. Let's talk about it.